Hey there, welcome or welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. Today I want to wrap up the month of September with you because we're already in the 1st of October. I cannot believe that it's October already. It's my birthday month. I'm very excited about that, but I'm also very excited because I consider October to be really the heart of the fall season. It's like the most colorful, most scentful, most dynamic, very unpredictable type of month, so I really love it. And also it's a month where we can have cozy books, and I'm a mood reader, so I'll tend to pick up a lot of different types of books, but I really feel like there's going to be a lot of atmospheric books that I'm going to be picking up, so I'm really excited about those. But going back to September, I had a very successful reading month. I read 20 books and I had one book that I did not finish, and I participated in a readathon. I'm participating in a read along, which makes me very happy because it lets me connect with many of the booktubers that I follow and many of the people that I follow on Instagram as well. So I'm very excited about that. And overall, I'm just really happy with how the month has wrapped up, and I just want to show you all the books and share with you all the books that I managed to finish, because some of the books I've already discussed in detail when I did my reading vlogs, my weekly reading vlogs that I've been doing, and also the wrap up for the readathon. I'm just going to quickly mention them and let you know that the videos for those will be linked down below or in the cards. I'm not sure. I'll see where I can link them. So you can take a look at them if you're interested in knowing my opinion about those books, but I'm just going to briefly mention them and then move on to the books that I haven't discussed yet. The first reading vlog that I did in the month of September was the Tuesday one, which was Triangle Tuesday. For that one, I actually picked up two books, a duet by Candy Steiner. The first one is What He Doesn't Know, and the second one is What He Always Knew. I think those were the titles of the books. And I love those. I gave them both 5 stars. I love triangles. I love marriage in trouble as a trope. So this one was really up my alley and I loved both of the books. The second reading vlog that I did was the Wedding Wednesday, where I picked up a Megan Quinn book. It was Two Wedding Crashers. That one I liked. It was a 4-star read for me. I had some issues with it at the beginning, but it turned out to be a fun read, entertaining, typical rom-com style of a book, so I liked it. And then the latest one that I did was the Trauma Thursday reading vlog, where I read a Brittany Cherry book. I finished Southern Storms. I really liked that one. I gave it 4 stars, which is very usual when I pick up a Brittany Cherry book. It's either a 4 or 5-star read for me, and you can check out what I thought about it in the reading vlog. And then when I participated in the readathon, I did a wrap up where I talked about the 7 books that I picked up for that readathon. I picked up a couple of novellas and a couple of full-length novels. I'm going to go through the novellas first. The first one that I gave 5 stars to is Cassie Mint's Thin Ice. I love that one. It's a coach athlete, taboo, age gap, very spicy romance that I really absolutely loved. We had a Jessica Kane novella, My Husband, My Stalker. That one was not a favorite of mine. I gave it 3 stars. It's a stalker, obsessive hero romance. It was okay. I didn't love it, but it was okay. And then a second one by Jessica Kane, which is called Breaking the Bully. That one I did like. I gave it 4 stars. And then I had one which I absolutely hated, which is Autumn Winter's Caught by Daddy. That one I gave 2 stars. It's a stepfather, stepdaughter, allspice, no plot novella that was just kind of a waste of my time, to be honest. But anyway, I finished it, so there you go. And then moving on to the full-length novels for that readathon, I picked up 2 J.T. Geisinger books. The first one is Ruthless Creatures. The second one is Carnal Urges. Both of those I absolutely love. The first one I gave 4.5 stars. The second one I gave 5 stars. Those were really hits for me. Actually, the second book I think will end up in my top 10 of the year. At least I'm predicting that to happen if I don't pick up anything like too overwhelmingly good in the next couple of months that will bump it off. But yeah, I really love those two books. And then the last book that I read for the readathon was Seventh Circle by Tate James. It's the first book off of a 4-book series. I really liked that one. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm just going to discuss it in terms of the other 2 books that I picked up after the readathon. When it comes to Tate James's series, I liked all of them, to be honest. I think all of them I gave 4 stars, but I'm going to go into the plot in a couple of moments when I get to those books. So that about wraps up all of the books that I read prior to this wrap up. Now I'm going to talk about the books that I haven't mentioned yet in the previous videos, and those were really interesting, all of them. The first book I'm going to mention is one which I was very excited about when I found out what it was about, but then it turned out to be a very traumatizing book for me. It's called The Five by Lily White. This book I picked up because I found out that it's like a taboo dark romance, and I was really in the mood for a dark romance. It's centered around Justin, who is a psychiatrist, and Rainey, who is this girl who is involved in a murder investigation. She is tied to these people who have all mysteriously died in a period of time, and they're trying to find out whether she is involved in some way. So Justin is hired to have a sit down with Rainey to find out what her, or whether she has any ties to these people dying. And when Justin sits down to talk to her, he kind of finds out that she needs very desperately to unload her life story, and he kind of goes for it. But when she does so, he finds out that she has had the toughest life that anyone can imagine, involving a lot of abuse, sexual abuse, drug and alcohol addictions, and it just doesn't get any positive at all. And I kind of don't consider this book to be a romance at all, especially because of the ending. And it kind of left me very traumatized and very drained when I finished it. I gave it 3 stars because it was very well written, and I think that it definitely deserves praise when it comes to the dark and twisted scenario that was played within the book. But it just wasn't my type of book. It really left me scarred, and now that I think about it, I kind of get anxious when I think about this plot. So yeah, I really wasn't a fan. That's why I needed kind of a more fluffy book when I continued on. So I picked up a book by Natasha Madison. It's called A Perfect Love Story. This book, it started off with a big trauma as well. We have a very kind of a jaded heroine because of what happened to her, and a bit of a damaged hero who is a single dad, which I absolutely loved within this story. We have the heroine, her name is Haley. She fell in love, married this wonderful guy, and then within a couple of months of their marriage, she goes through the biggest nightmare that anyone can have. He gets into an accident and he passes away. And it gets even worse for her when she finds out that he actually has another family. I apologize if you're hearing a noise. There's something weird going on here. Anyway, so he passes away and she finds out he has another family. So she is absolutely devastated by this. And I think her grandmother is the one who offers her to seek a bit of a different setting and go to this beach house somewhere a bit far away. And she accepts, and she goes there, and she is the neighbor, the new neighbor of this single dad. I think his name is Jensen. He has a little girl, and she immediately is taken by this little girl, and they have a cute bond with each other. But Jensen is immediately kind of on his on alert, because he is very damaged by his previous relationship with the mother of his child. So he's not very nice to her in the beginning. He's kind of being an asshole to her, and yeah, they do have a lot of kind of an enemies to lovers situation in the beginning. And I really did like this story. I gave it 4 stars. It's a perfect small town, single dad, damaged hero, damaged heroine, who both seek to kind of overcome their trauma and be together type of story. So I really did like this one. Next up, I picked up a book by Vi Keeland. I love Vi Keeland's books because I think that ultimately, whenever I pick up her books, I feel very positive when I finish them because they have a lot of fun banter. There's a lot of humor in them. Usually, the premises have a very kind of funny meet cute or a funny kind of conflict between the two characters that makes the book ultimately like a page turner type of book. And this one, which is called The Boss Project, is no exception. We have the main heroine. She is a therapist as well. Her name is Evie, and she needs to go on a job interview, but she has a couple of mishaps before she goes on to this interview. And when she actually goes to the interview, she finds out that the guy that she's interviewing with is someone with whom she had a very awkward encounter. This guy, his name is Merrick. He's the CEO of this investment type of firm, kind of like a Wall Street type of firm. And he needs to hire a therapist because the board of directors of his company has decided that they need to have a therapist for the employees because it's a very cutthroat business and they need to have someone manage their passions and emotions on the work floor. Merrick is not very happy with that decision, so he kind of wants to hire the least qualified therapist so that he can kind of prove that it's not a good idea to have a therapist on the work floor. That's why he hires Evie, because he doesn't really believe in her because she doesn't have a lot of experience. And because she kind of understands that that is his goal, she really wants to prove to him that she is the most qualified person for the job. And that's why she calls it the Boss Project, to kind of convince him that she's worth it. So yeah, it was a banter filled, a lot of fun, a lot of awkward situations within the book, and I really, really liked it. I gave it 4 stars, and I definitely recommend this one. And then next up, I picked up a book that is by an author that has been so popular on BookTube the past 5 or 6 months. I think that everyone I follow has been reading this author's books and has been singing her praises. I'm talking about Catherine Cowles. I read the book, which is called Tattered Stars. It's the first book off of a series that I really, really love this book. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I'm definitely going to continue on with the series. I think that Jess from Peace Love Books was the first booktuber that I saw talking about Catherine Cowles, especially also about this book. And I was really interested in this book because it sounded like it had a premise that I hadn't really heard about before. We have the main heroine, Everly, who is in the beginning of the book a teenager. She's like 11 or 12 years old, and we find out that she's part of a community, like a prepper type, like a survival style of community, who don't really believe in like modern day living, like in technology or in medicine or in like authority even. They don't really accept basic human laws that are set by the government, and they're really living secluded from the communities and are kind of living off their own produce. And she finds out in the beginning of the book that her father has kidnapped a girl, and she believes that this is wrong. So she goes to the sheriff's department and turns him in. This immediately kind of makes her an enemy within her own community, so she needs to leave. And then fast forward like 15 years or so, she finds out that her mother has passed away, and she has left her with the house and the land that she grew up in. She decides to go back because she wants to create an animal sanctuary and to kind of make a positive out of the whole negative that she has seen in her past. But unfortunately, her community, and especially her family, her brother and her uncle, are still not over the betrayal that she has inflicted on their community and family. So she is going back to a lot of animosity and a lot of difficult situations. And part of the animosity that she encounters is from the sheriff. whose name is Hayes, and he's actually the love interest within the book. He's also the brother of the kidnapped girl. He has his reasons for not wanting Everly to be there, but then slowly but surely he gets convinced that his views are wrong. And I'm not going to mention any more than that. I absolutely love this book. There's just one small thing that I didn't like too much, but I'm not going to let it ruin anything for you. I'm not going to mention it. Otherwise, it was just a perfect read, a small town story that is just on another level. And I'm definitely going to continue on with the series. The next book that I read is one that I didn't love and didn't hate. It was just a meh read. It's called Stone Cold by Winter Renshaw. This book, I think that the whole book centered around the premise at the beginning of the book that ultimately was not too successful in my opinion. It started off with our heroine Jovi, who by accident one night tagged herself in her ex's engagement photo, and then his best friend messages her to say that it's totally inappropriate to do so, that she should take the tag off, and then they start to message each other. So this is ultimately an ex's best friend story. I don't know. It wasn't bad, it wasn't good, it was just okay, and I think ultimately very forgettable. I think in a couple of months time I won't remember that I've read this book, so that is probably why I didn't really love it. Now I'm going to talk about Seventh Circle, Anarchy, and Club 22, which are 3 of the books within a 4-book series by Tate James. I absolutely love these books. They're reverse harem, mafia style, dark romance books. And I think that Tate James has done a wonderful job with the reverse harem in this case, because the books are a bit longer, and really we kind of get involved in all love interests in an equal way. So we really have a focus on each of the guys in an equal way. So we don't really get a preference towards one or the other. Maybe it's a good thing to just mention for those of you who are watching one of my videos for the first time. A reverse harem is whenever a girl has a polyamorous relationship with multiple guys. So within this book, we have Hades, the woman, who is in, there are 3 love interests within the story. We have Lucas, Zed, and Cass. And Hades is actually the head of this mob, like a mafia style organization. And it's such a wonderful thing to have a woman as a head of a mafia. I just love this premise. Cass is kind of like, he's part of a motorcycle club, while Zed is her best friend and kind of her right-hand man. And Lucas is this new kid on the block who comes in and wants to work at one of her clubs. This book is just so action-filled because we have Hades, who has so many things to consider. She has clubs, she has white business, dark business. She has people who want her off of her seat. We have a situation with a dead fiance who may not be dead and who may be after her as well. And also the FBI is after her. So there's just so many things going on within this series that keeps you engaged and wanting to know more, and also wanting to know how the polyamorous relationship will work between all of them. And it was just really well done, and I really can't wait to continue on with the 4th book. It's just that the 4th book is like a 16-hour audiobook, so I really want to take a weekend off to just go through it at my own pace and really enjoy it, because it's the last one. Yeah, so that is all about this series. And then the last 3 books that I read is also part of a 6-book series, because I'm participating in a read-along with I think Jess, Michae, Tori, Cheyenne. I'm not sure if Sam is participating. A lot of people are participating. I think even Caitlyn is participating. So a lot of people are reading these books in the next couple of weeks. The books are by Jay Bree, and the first one is Broken Bonds. This one, I think the live show for that one is going to be the weekend of, or actually it was this week, wasn't it? It's the weekend of the 2nd, so it's this weekend. And I have to say that I already read 3 of the books. The first book really got me hooked. I was really interested in the premise, and I wanted to find out what is going to happen afterwards. But now that I'm 3 books in, I'm really not enjoying it all too much. If I have to be very honest, I'm very curious about what everyone else will say, because I do know that this is a very popular series. It has a very high rating on Goodreads as well. And I'm checking on Instagram now and then. I'm seeing people posting that they're loving it. So I'm very curious. I did like the first book. It's like a 3.5-star read for me, but I'm not loving it so far. The book is about Oleander, who is the center of a bond, meaning that there's multiple people who are part of one bond, and there's usually one center. In this case, this is Oleander, the woman, and then she has 5 guys who are her bonds. So this is again a reverse harem story. These bonds kind of make them want to mate, to bond with each other, so that they're like one whole community of like a family. But besides that, the bond lets them have these gifts. Each of them has a different gift, and the problem within the story is that Oleander has a very special and a very dangerous gift, which has her kind of a target on her back. There is this community who is hunting people like her because they can misuse her gift. And yeah, we have in the first book a situation where Oleander has been running from this I don't want to say their name, from this community who are hunting her, but her bonds actually think that she has run away from them for another reason. So they're kind of very mad at her for running away. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the story because the 5 guys are kind of faceless to me. When I compare it to the Tate James story, Tate James has taken plenty of time to really focus on different characteristics, different visuals, different actions that each of these guys perform, so that you can really get behind who they are as people, really get to know them, also their backstories. While in this book, every single guy can be every other guy for me. The only thing that differentiates them from each other is their gifts. If we didn't have these bonds working as a gift, I wouldn't know who is who. I wouldn't know what they contribute to Oleander and their bonds, and I'm confused when it comes to the guys. Who are they? What do they look like? I cannot imagine them. They're all one and the same guy for me, and that kind of pisses me off. And also, Oleander, this is a new adult story, kind of behaves like a young adult for me. A lot of dramatic, like, outbursts happen, a lot of repetition. She's saying, I think in the first book, the thing that bugged me the most is she was saying freaking in every freaking sentence. It was like, if you were to count how many times she uses that word, it's like almost every other sentence. So that kind of made it really immature for me. So at this time, I'm reserving my rating at a 3-star rating for all 3 books. And I'm going to see whether I'm going to continue on with the 4th book, because there are 6 books in total. And I'm very curious to see what the other ladies think about the series. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. Now, I do want to mention as the last thing, the book that I did not finish. The book is a very popular book. Unfortunately for me, I couldn't get into it. It's called Before the Coffee Gets Cold by a Japanese author. I did not write down their name. I'm sorry. I'm going to post the cover somewhere here above so you can see it. This book has a very interesting premise, and I think it blew up on Book Talk, so it's been one of the most popular books in the past like year or so, or maybe more. The premise is there is this coffee shop where you can go to, and if you follow a very specific set of rules, you can time travel to a specific moment in time, but you need to wrap up your business before your coffee gets cold. And the thing is, even though you can find out things or things can go differently than what originally happened, the future, or actually the present, will never change. So we have three stories which happen at the same time, that involves this cafe, this coffee shop. And I got to like the 60% mark within this book. But ultimately, I was just so confused and so kind of struggling with grasping what I'm following that I just couldn't move on. I think it's a me thing. I don't think that it's the book's fault. So, yeah, ultimately, I think this book is probably worth the time for someone who loves this type of writing. And there's a lot of magical realism within the book, and there's a lot of kind of one punch sentences which you can take off and kind of work with within the story, but it just wasn't my type of story, so I could not finish it. But I definitely recommend that you take a look whether it's going to be for you, because a lot of people love this book. I think it's just a me thing. So yeah, those were all the books that I wanted to talk about in this wrap up. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you stuck around to see all of my ramblings about all these books. And if you like this video, please put a thumbs up. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I hope to see you very soon in the next one. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Happy reading. Take care, and bye bye.